Hey folks, I'm here to do a review, a specific review that I was asked to do about a new pen that hit the market not too long ago. I wanted to talk about the Monteverde Monza. And it's something I picked up within the last week or so, and I've been able to fill it up and use it for a little bit, and wanted to give, first of all, my general impressions. When I looked at the pen, I debated whether or not to even try to get it. Because quite honestly, just from websites, it looked an awful lot like a Lingmo Lorelei or a Jinhao 992. It's the same general shape, it's the same kind of converter. Now, don't get me wrong, the actual converter itself may be different, but it's an international standard converter, and it's a steel nib pen. Let me give you an idea. The Jinhao will cost under $2, delivered from China. The Lingmo Lorelei, I paid about $12 delivered, and the Monza, full MSRP, 20 bucks. But it's a Monteverde. So I've had good and bad luck with Yafa brand products like Monteverde and Conklin. So I debated, do I spring for it and try it? Well, they were actually selling for about $16, and I happened to be placing a decent size order with a distributor, so I went ahead and tacked it on for the extra, 16 bucks. So I went ahead and I got the Monteverde Monza, and it arrives in a box like that. Somewhere here on my desk, probably buried amongst some paperwork, there is a cardboard wrap that goes around it that says Monteverde on it. When you open it up, you get the pen itself. It's got this foam insert, comes with two standard international cartridges, and that's where the converter did sit. Now the converter is in the pen. Now, when I first got this, my first thought was, it reminds me an awful lot of this. Lingmo, Chinese brand, and the Lingmo reminded me an awful lot of a Jinhao 992. So a Lingmo shows up in a box like this. They're a little bit different in size, in terms of depth, in terms of length, just a little bit different. Same concept though. They're both the same poly boxes, just different color. This one says Lingmo on it, and this one says Monteverde on it. Okay, that's the big difference. The Monteverde comes with a cartridge and a converter. This one came with a converter as well, already in the pen, and there were no cartridges when you got that. So that was my first impression looking at it. Now, let me give my general impressions of the Jinhao 992 and the Lingmo. The Lingmo, at $12, is an okay pen. It only comes in fine or extra fine, and it tends to be a little bit scratchy, and it tends to be a little stiff. Not overly impressed. I still have it. I use it in my rotation because it's inked up. I mean, I could flush it out and just put it away, and I couldn't care less one way or the other. The Jinhao 992, a pen that can go for just over $1 to around $2, and I give away a lot of these because I've bought them in bulk and gave them away. 1/6 the price, also a fine nib, writes just as well as the Lingmo. Now I'm told the construction materials between the two may be a little bit different. Here's a picture of the three pens side by side by side. You have got at the top the Jinhao, in the middle you've got the Lingmo, and at the bottom I went ahead and I bought the Monteverde in an island blue. That just happened to be my choice of colors. So, overall impression, it's exactly the same. I mean, as far as I can tell, other than a few variations. And let me show you the picture some more. You can see a few variations in the clip. By and large, the end of the tip of the pen, the end of the barrel, is pretty much the same. The nib, pretty much the same. Not a whole lot of difference. They're all steel nibs. The section, pretty much the same. They're all screw tops. The band on the cap, they're all pretty much the same. Here's what I will say. This Monteverde Monza, fortunately, comes in a better choice of nibs. I personally like medium nibs. I can get into some broad nibs. Not a big fan of fine nibs. Definitely don't like extra fine nibs. I don't like them scratchy. I don't like them fine lined. I like a decent line. So I was able to order this in a medium, which was the selling point for me, because I would like for my 992 or my Lingmo at that price point to have the choice of being able to have a medium nib. So went ahead and got it, and those are my initial impressions. They're just alike. There's no real difference. Well, I don't know if there's a real difference in the construction materials that go into it. It's obvious to me that Monteverde essentially has contracted Chinese pen makers to go ahead, produce the pen, and brand it for Monteverde, jack up the price a little bit, and market it as their private label. Alright, it's sort of like, I guess it's sort of like you go to Walmart and you get the store brand cornflakes. They're made by the same people. There are not so many cereal manufacturers in the world, and one cornflake looks just like another. They have a different name on the box, and the price is different. Only in this case, the price goes up. So, but is there a lot of difference? In my opinion, not a lot, but enough. When I pay $12 for the Lingmo Lorelei, and yes, that's how I'm going to pronounce it, because that's how the song by Styx pronounces it. Lorelei, let's live together. I grew up on 80s rock, so. Plus, I've got the DVDs and CDs on my shelf. So. When I can pay a couple dollars more and get a decent writing, medium nibbed pen and not be restricted to the fine nib that I had to have in the Lorelei, I'm much happier. What else really is there to tell? If you've touched a 992, you've pretty much touched a Monteverde. If you've touched a Lingmo Lorelei, you've touched the Monteverde. At least as far as the Monza. The name Monza, I know it's supposed to inspire visions of a lovely town in northern Italy. To me, it inspires visions of a 1970s cheap Chevrolet. Maybe that's just me, but that's what goes through my head. Why? Because actually when I was looking at used cars for my first car, I looked at a Chevy Monza. Anyway, what do I think about this? I've got no problem with the 992. Like I said, I give them away to people. And yes, they've only got fine nibs. Someone just thanked me the other day for having mailed them one. My neighbor got one just the other day. She thanked me. She liked it. I've given away a lot of these pens to friends, family, people that I know, people that I don't know, and I just happen to run into at the Dunkin' Donuts and they like my pen. Or I ran across a girl at church when I went to go pick up my child from his children's church class. She liked my pen, so I gave her one, kind of thing. I buy these. Matter of fact, for the Jinhaos, I'm not going to do this with the Monza because these are like I said, $16 a piece. But the Jinhaos, I always keep a double pen pouch, and I have one ready to go. So I've got no problem with the Jinhao 992. I use them. I give them away. I like them. For the price, there's no beating them. As a matter of fact, if I have the choice between the 992 versus the Lorelei, I'll take the 992 because I can buy 6 of those for the price of a Lorelei and probably get just as good, if not better, performance, in my opinion. Although there are variations from one 992 to the other, I have noticed, having written with a good many of them, there's a little bit of a different quality differential in the nibs. Maybe there's better QC on the Lorelei. I don't know. Monteverde had some problems with some of their nibs. Didn't have any problem with this. It's essentially the same thing. It fits comfortably into the hand. Keeping it posted, no big, fat, hairy deal. It's a very lightweight demonstrator style pen. I got fairly decent sized hands, and yes, I got ink on my fingers. You can tell I've been playing with pens today. But, the barrel tapers down. I'm not going to go into great detail on all this because if you've seen a 992, you know what I'm talking about, guys. It's pretty much the same pen, same barrel, the same acrylic or plastic barrel, and you open them up, and though it's a different converter, they do put in a different converter than the others. It's an international standard converter. You can put in international standard cartridges. I don't want to use cartridges. I want to use a converter and choose the ink that I want. So very, very smoothly to put that back together. Very smoothly goes the screwing on of the cap. This does have the Monteverde name here, and on the nib itself, it's got the Monteverde little mountain logo on it. So, bottom line, do I recommend getting this? If you're considering the Lorelei and you don't have one, skip the Lorelei. Get the Monza. Spend a couple extra bucks, get the Monza. Because you can choose your nib size, you can choose how a better writing pen essentially for a few more dollars. That's my personal opinion. Choosing between this and the 992, what do I think? I'm going to show you, this is a 992 that I've got inked up for giveaway. I know in the pictures I showed a clear one. This is a smoky colored one. I just happen to have ink, and you'll see it again here in a few minutes. If I have to choose between these two, I'm probably going to choose this for my personal writer. I'm willing to pay some extra money to get a pen that I like that writes smoother. I chose, like I said, the medium nib, as opposed to you don't have a choice, you're going to get a fine nib in this. This still writes okay. It's acceptable. Not my personal preference, but it's good enough to give somebody, it's good enough to have when you need a writer. It's good enough to have as a knock-around pen that you can throw in your pocket or throw in your backpack or your purse and not worry about having a pen that will work. Or one cheap enough, if you lose it, no big deal, or cheap enough that someone likes it, you just give it to them. I wrote with one of these one day at a Dunkin' Donuts, signing a receipt when I took my family out for breakfast, like we do just about every Sunday. And here I'm signing the receipt, and she said, "Oh, I like that pen." I said, "Here, you want it?" Great. I'm not going to do that with a Monteverde Monza just because it costs a lot more. It costs like 8 times the other pen, but it's still under 20 bucks. And if you're going to order anyway from a retailer, just tack it onto an order. Okay, for another $16 or so, you've got a decent writing pen that you're already familiar with. So, how does it write? Here, I'll show you, and I'll compare it to both the Jinhao 992 and to the Lingmo Lorelei. Alright, here is the writing portion I promised. I'm going to start out with the Jinhao 992. If you recall, you probably saw the clear version that I had. This particular one I'm going to flush out. I keep one for my very own. This one's about bereft of ink, so I need to flush that sucker out anyway. But this is the one I had inked up and ready for giveaway. So this is the smoky one, and it's a fine nib. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a writing sample with it. So this is the Jinhao 992. It has a fine nib, and I filled this one with a Franklin Christoph dark chocolate. See, depending upon what light you're using, this is either an extremely very dark brown, dark chocolate, as it indicates, or it's black. So in general lighting, not because I've got a nice LED spotlight over here to try to eliminate shadowing from the camera, it's going to appear that it's a dark brown. So this, you're not going to get a lot of flex. It's a stiff, fine nib. It's a steel nib. But what is it? It's dependable. It's reliable. You get a little bit of line variation, but not a tremendous amount. And Not too bad for fast writing. So let's put this one away. Here's my Lingmo Lorelei. I can see I still got enough ink in here sloshing around to be able to make it work. So the Lingmo, and you can hear the feedback more so with the Lingmo than you could with the Jinhao. I mean, on Rhodia paper, this pen is smoother than when I'm writing on Tomaway River or just on an ordinary notepad. So this is also a fine nib. And I have in here a J. Herbin. I can't remember if there's 1 or 2 R's in Poussière de Lune, which is moon dust. It's also kind of a stiff steel nib. You're not going to get really any line variation. If anything, you're going to get less. It's a finer line than you're going to get with the Jinhao 992. And it keeps up with you just fine. Still, not my favorite. But I'll use it because it's reliable and it does its job, just not as well as I'd like to see. So let's pull out the new boy, the new kid on the block, and this is the Monteverde Monza. This one has a medium nib, which I said I'm thankful for. You can see it lays down a thicker line. Not a tremendous amount of difference in how the nib looks, but I get a little more line variation. Although it's still a fairly stiff steel nib. I'm not expecting anything fantastic. In this, I have a private reserve cosmic cobalt blue ink. So, bottom line, is it worth it for me? Well, number one, you got a more limited color selection in this, but I like the way it writes better. I like the nib better. I like the thicker line here than I got definitely than the Lorelei, and than I did the Jinhao. Personally, the way between these two, I like the way the Jinhao wrote just fine. Like I said, I can buy 6 of these or 8 of those for about 6 of those for the price of this, and I can buy 8 of those for the price I paid for this. But this gets me a better line, gets me a better writing experience. So in that regard, I'd go with the Monza definitely over the Lorelei, and I would go the 992 over the Lorelei as well. Still, if I'm just buying for my purposes, in my use, I'll take the Monza, and I would still give away the 992. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Ask me any questions you want, comment all you want. Talk to you later.